So a couple summers ago, the Lakers signed 3 players. They gave Austin Reaves a 4-year deal, and it was very affordable. I think 4 years, $56 million, if I remember off the top of my head. I'm like, God, that's a really, really that's a very, very reasonable deal for Rui Hachimura. Or I'm sorry, for Austin Reaves. They gave Gabe Vincent 3 years, $33 million. It's like, okay, hey, Gabe just came off an NBA Finals appearance. He was really good in Miami. I like it. I like his DNA. And then a player that they traded for from the Wizards, Rui Hachimura, they gave him a 3-year, 50 and some change deal, something along those lines. 3 years, 52. I know it's 17 a year, so I think it was 52. That was the one contract that I was like, damn, they kind of paid Rui here. Rui's got some expectations now. Rui's got to live up to that contract. Right after they signed him, I remember I was doing radio, and Brian Windhorst came on my show, and Brian Windhorst immediately was like, hey, that deal, keep an eye out on that deal. I don't know if Rui's going to live up to those numbers, what he was doing in Washington at that time, got traded to the Lakers, and there were going to be some expectations for him. Here's what's happened since then. Austin Reaves has way overplayed his contract, and I would say Rui Hachimura has been, I'm really not sure what the Lakers are going to get from Rui Hachimura. And that's kind of been Rui's MO for the last couple of years. And then all of a sudden, as things went on, there would be more noise around Austin Reaves, and, he's not doing enough, and he's got to be, or his playoffs his performance in the playoffs, or the Lakers need him to do this, that, whatever the case is. And I remember when all that noise was going on, I'm like, damn, I remember when they signed Rui and they signed Austin Reaves at the same time. Austin Reaves was by far the better contract, and Austin Reaves has been by far a more consistent player for the Lakers. He's been phenomenal for the Lakers, whether you're an Austin Reaves fan or not, whether you want to trade him or you don't. If you don't think Austin Reaves has overplayed his contract, I don't know what to tell you. The guy came out of nowhere, and he's been great for the Lakers. And he's been so good that his expectations when he got to the playoffs, it's like, yeah, this isn't good enough. We need you to be the third best player on this team. We need you to show up every single night. We need you to have games and moments where you might take over. That's how the expectations grew for Austin Reaves. For Rui, I think he set his bar lower, and that's why I just think there wasn't enough noise around Rui Hachimura, or, oh my gosh, how come this guy isn't playing better, this, that, whatever the case is. Now, I'm a fan of Rui. I would like to see Rui come back this upcoming season because I do think he has value. I think there are times where, he grew on me. Let's put it that way. I think there were times where it's like, you know what? No, I actually kind of feel good when Rui's in a game. Now, he can't rebound if his life depended on him for having that size. I think he's a little streaky sometimes on what he can, eventually do on the floor. Obviously, he doesn't have the ball in his hands, can't create for himself. There is Austin Reaves and LeBron and Luka. So how much of the time is he really going to get the ball? But I look at him, and every time I see a trade package out there, Rui's name is involved. How do Lakers fans view Rui? We spent so much of this offseason so far talking about Austin Reaves, talking about what LeBron's going to do, talking about building around Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith, bring him back, JJ Redick, some of the mistakes that he made from a coaching perspective. I don't really feel like people talk that much about Rui. But if you go look at a lot of different players that the Lakers, if they're going to go get a guy like Nick Claxton, or they're going to go get a guy that they're going to go trade for, Rui's probably involved in one of those trades, unless those teams are okay with grabbing Kleba and Gabe Vincent just to wash their hands. They don't want to really win that much. They'd rather have Dalton Connect and a draft pick. How do Laker fans view Rui Hachimura? Do you view him as a player that has a tremendous amount of value? Do you want to see him as a part of the future of the Lakers? Or are you kind of maybe indifferent about how he is and what he is for the Lakers, and frankly, just want to see this guy a part of a trade package that can help improve the team. So we'll spend a little bit of time here on Rui, and I do want to see people's comments on Rui Hachimura, how they feel about him. Okay, let me kind of go back a little bit here and see if I can find. Let's see where some of the first. Let's see what we got here. Rui will give you 30 as the primary behind Austin. Rui going backwards like that. I'm ready. Somebody's saying they're ready to move on from Vando. The only problem with Vando is he does have a little bit of this, when you have him on the floor, I don't know. However you want to, describe him, but there are times where he's such a liability on offense, you can't have him on the floor. Lakers can't buy a second-round draft pick. All right, let's see what we got here. AR and Rui beat the champion Celtics. Yeah, I don't really take too much stock in that. Whatever happens in a regular season game, I really don't take too much stock in that. Let's get another one here. Martin watching from Egypt. Martin, you're the man, brother. Thank you for watching all the way out in Egypt. I didn't know we had people in Egypt watching the show. Phenomenal. Send Rui off in the expansion draft. He doesn't rebound. Slee, Rui is soft for a big guy. He can shoot, but not a very good defender or rebounder. That part's weird to me. Every time I look at Rui, I'm like, is that not the perfect NBA size for a big man? And here he is, like you mentioned here, not exactly the best rebounder, not exactly the best defender. Rui's kind of blocked with Braun on the team. He needs to go start somewhere else. Okay, he might get that opportunity. Put 3 or 4 elite defenders around Luka, and Lakers go on a run like we may have never seen before. Okay. Value Rui more than Austin, but would still trade both. I think there's much more value in Austin Reaves than there is for Rui, and I'm talking about the market. And if you told me which of the two players are you keeping, again, I think Austin Reaves just has more value. So I don't think Rui's got more value than Austin Reaves. And 100%, if you went out there and you said something along the lines of, I don't know, any way you want to describe it, but if you went out there and you presented to other teams that Rui's available to trade or Austin Reaves is available to trade, everyone is going to point more attention to having more interest in Austin Reaves. Obviously, Austin Reaves would cost you more. More two-way players. Rui is solid, all-round player, very good spot-up shooter, needs to improve his rebounding. Would love to keep him and trade Connect and expirings first. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you told me the Lakers, and this is not how the world works, but if you told me they were able to trade Dalton Connect, that first rounder, and maybe an expiring contract, and they got a good big that can help them, of course, not a great big, not an all-star big, but they got a big that can help them, and they kept Rui and they kept Austin Reaves, okay, that's a lot more interesting. Now you obviously have those players going into the trade deadline as well to try to, find another way to improve the roster. Rui's too nice. If he had a mean streak, he'd be a problem. Yeah, I'm with you. Not in his DNA. Probably not something that that you really see in him. Lakers need to take advantage of the deep draft. The centers in the draft have better offense than Claxton, Gafford, and others that are available. Yeah, a lot of those guys are just they're just lob threats. But the problem is I don't think Lakers are going to try to go draft a big right now and wait a couple of years for that player to develop with Luka. They're going to try to address that problem immediately right now. How was Luka successful in Dallas? That's what we're going to get. At least that's the concept. I mean, I'm assuming that that's how Pelinka and some of these other guys are going to look at this summer. Love to see Reaves coming off the bench. I don't have an issue with that, to be honest with you. I just don't know if the Lakers would actually do it, but I get that strategy. Rookies don't really do well for the Lakers. Yeah, it takes time. I mean, even Max Christie, they drafted him, took a couple of years. Jalen Hood-Schifino, didn't work. players to have guys just come in right away and do work usually takes a second. Okay, I'll keep looking at some of the comments here. And as we kind of go through this, we'll still hit on that. So I'll hit on a couple of these comments. But there are a couple NBA things I want to get into, and then we'll do the weekend recap and call it a day. Rui needs to work on driving to the basket. Not very good at that. Even though his weakness is defense, AR contract, what makes Austin so attractive. And he's a good player. Now, his contract's going to eventually get back to market value. You know, that's something that we've talked about in the past. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.